Hi kids, we are back on another edition of Reading with Joan. I hope you have fun as you join us as we read the various books we have on the show.
Reading with Joan.
If you have not submitted your competition for the Kids Fest, kindly submit at readingwithjoan@gmail.com. I'll repeat, readingwithjoan@gmail.com. We look forward to your art, your short stories, your poem, your songs, whatever creative thing you can do. We look forward to having you, and hopefully before the deadline on the 27th of July. We'll see you soon for the next story.
It is right to have fun with each other and be friends with one another. So
Hi kids, I'm here again to read a story to you. I hope you have fun as we read together. Do you remember the book we are reading from? Can I remind you? Tales from the Caribbean. And I hope we have a wonderful time reading. Come along, let's read. Today's story is called The Three Taps. The Three Taps. Who is having the taps? Who is giving it out? Let's see. This story is based on a French Caribbean folk tale. There was once a beautiful girl called Adeline. She was left in care of a stepfather after the death of her mother. Oh, poor girl. On a sick bed, Adeline's mother gave Adeline a gift. It was a small, funny, cobbly looking twig. Soon I would leave you, said Adeline's mom. Here is your protection when I'm gone. It's a magic twig, and when it is used by the person who truly loves you, it will save you from harm. Remember, nothing can stand in the way of true love. Adeline was too upset to understand what her mom was telling her, and she simply wept as she hugged her. The stepfather didn't like Adeline very much, and soon Adeline's mother died. He started being cruel to her. He made her his servant. Anything he told her to do, she had to do it. He was so wicked that he would beat her if she refused. Adeline dreamed of being far away from the evil stepfather and living a happy life. One day, Adeline was busy washing clothes in the river when she was joined by a handsome man called Francisco. Adeline and Francisco spoke all afternoon, and it felt as if they had known one another forever. They laughed and chatted and felt so comfortable in each other's company. From then on, each day Francisco will return to the river and join Adeline as they did her washing. Adeline and Francisco gradually fell in love. Francisco was so overcome by his love for Adeline that he asked her to marry him. She was overjoyed and was happy to accept the proposal. But in order to marry Adeline, Francisco would have to ask her stepfather for permission. And as it was the custom in those days, Adeline suspected her stepfather would not approve as he was a cruel man and wanted her to be a slave forever. Nevertheless, one day after he had finished his washing, Adeline led Francisco to her house. Once there, Francisco respectfully asked Adeline's stepfather if he could have a hand in marriage. The stepfather wasn't happy. In fact, he was furious. If Adeline were to marry this man, who would he get to all the chores? The cooking, the washing, the cleaning? Adeline thought the evil stepfather would surely say no, so she would be enslaved by him forever. But to her surprise, the corny stepfather turned to the handsome young man and said, I am a reasonable man. Of course, you have the permission to marry her. But first, you must complete 3 tasks. Once you have completed all the 3 tasks successfully, then you can marry my stepdaughter. Adeline immediately suspected that her father was up something and doubted that the task he had set would be straightforward. Still, she was glad the young man had been given a chance, as slim as it might be. I must speak to you privately, said the stepfather to Francisco, and he sent Adeline off to do some homework. Once he and Francisco was alone, the stepfather turned to him and said, if you do not complete the task successfully, you must go away and never return to bother my stepdaughter again. The young suitor reluctantly agreed that if he failed to complete the task successfully, then he would go away and never return. Then the wicked stepfather went to the kitchen and took a bucket from under the sink. With a sharp knife, he pierced the bucket several times until it was full of holes. For your first time, I want you to take the bucket to the river, said the evil stepfather, and you will fill it with water from the river. Bring the bucket of water to my house. Fill my water tank with the water you have carried. The river was quite far away from the stepfather's house, and Francisco knew that there was no way he would collect water from the river with his bucket full of holes and still have water when he returned. But that will be impossible, said Francisco. The water will leak out of a hole in the bucket before I reach the house. So it will, said the grandfather smugly. But that is your problem. He's mean. Francisco felt frustrated. He seemed he would never get to marry the girl he had fallen in love with after all. Still, he took the bucket filled with holes and made his way to the river. Once he was there, he put the bucket in the river to fill it and took it out again. Just as he had expected, the water was already leaking from the many holes that he had. As quickly as he could, Francisco ran all the way back to the house to fill the water tank with the little water he had left in the bucket. Alas, when Francisco reached the house, the bucket had lost all the water and was empty. But Francisco never gave up. His love for Evelyn was strong. He wanted to marry her more than anything in the world. So he went back to the river. This time, after he had dipped the bucket filled with holes into the river, he ran even faster back to the house. But still, there wasn't a drop of water left in the bucket when he arrived at the water tank. Evelyn came back from doing a chore, and she watched Francisco making his trip to the river and back again, running faster and faster each time he had reached the bucket filled with holes. What are you doing? She asked. Your father asked me to fill this bucket with water from the river and then bring the bucket of water to his water tank and fill the tank with the water I collect. But the bucket is filled with holes, said Evelyn. It's impossible. I know, said Franco, but I want to marry you, so I keep trying. You must truly love me, Evelyn said. And remembering the special gift that her mother had given her, she took it out of her purse. My mother left me with this, but I was unable to use it. This magic will only work when used by someone who truly loves me. And what must I do with it, said Franco. But before Evelyn could answer, the magic twig spoke. Strike me on the ground 3 times. Francisco was confused, but he loved Evelyn and so much. Francisco was confused, but he loved Evelyn so much that he did what the twig said. Now, you must have the water tank 3 times, the magic twig said. The young man ran to the water tank and tapped it 3 times. Now go to the river and dip me in the river. Francisco went to the river and put the tip of the word in the river. Then the twig said, repeat after me. River, fill the tank. Francisco repeated the word. River, fill the tank. Your task is done, said it. Really? Francisco said, yes, said the twig. Go and see for yourself. Francisco went back to the stepfather's house, and lo and behold, the water tank was filled with the river water. The young man called the stepfather and said to him, and told him that he had completed the task. He showed him the filled water tank. The stepfather was shocked. Fine, he said angrily, but you still have 2 tasks more to do. For your second task, I want you to, the stepfather thought long and hard, dry up the river so I can walk across. Wow, hey, how is that even possible? Let's find out. Francisco sighed, and he knew this time he had no chance of completing the task. But that will be impossible, said Francisco. How can I draw up the river? That is your problem, said the wicked stepfather. Francisco went sadly to the river, and he sat down, feeling sorry for himself. Evelyn came and sat beside him. What has he asked you to do this time? She asked. Your stepfather has set me even more impossible task. He asked me to dry up the river so he can cross it, Francisco said. Do you think the magic twig can help again? Kate, you want to find out if the magic twig has helped again? You come back next time and we'll find out. Do you like the wicked grandfather? I don't like it. But you know what? Love always prevails. Let's see what is going to happen. Remember, keep loving because love always prevails.
Hi, It's Tuesday, and I'm continuing from our big day. We are reading Black and British, and we're reading a new topic, Victorian Cake. Let's start. In the 1840s and 1850s, African American speakers were written to get support for this campaign, and many published best-selling books. Most of them had been enslaved themselves, and could give first-hand details of what if Henry Brown was one of these starters who also wrote the libel. Wow. Brown got his nickname from the dramatic way he freed himself from slavery. He sought himself by mail in a wooden boat by Richmond in Virginia to the northern city of Philadelphia, where slavery was illegal. The boat was less than a meter long. Brown and spent 27 hours inside. Henry Brown came to Britain in 1850, published a book about his life and book about theaters all around the country. Even took his book with him and appeared from inside it on stage. Wow! Brown's story also shows how dangerous it was to be black in America. Even in the northern states which had banned slaves, came to Britain after a law was passed in the USA called the Fugitive Slave Act. The law made it illegal for anyone drop slaveholders hunting down escaped slaves, even if they had gone to place where they're. For people who have been enslaved, like Henry Brown, this meant that their old owner could have hired the men, packed them, and put them back in slavery. It was a good reason to head for safety in Britain. Frederick Douglass, the most famous African American to speak her power in Britain in the 1840s, was Frederick Douglass. The most famous African American speaker to board Britain in the 1840s was Frederick Douglass. Douglass escaped from slavery in 1838 and became a teacher and anti-slavery campaigner. He wrote a book about his life and came to Britain all around the country and raised money for his newspaper, the North Dog. He also came to get further away from the man still legally owned. Douglass became a star, and his powerful engagement the anti-slavery campaign in Britain a huge. The friends he made in Britain changed his life as well. Ellen and Anna Richardson were Quakers from New York. They raised $150 to buy Frederick Douglass from the former owner. Some people thought this wrong and that Douglass and the Richardsons were acting as if it was all alright to buy and sell people in Europe. But Frederick Douglass was now legally free in America and they could go back like other African Americans. Douglass said it was a rule to be treated equally in Britain. The writer Harriet Jacobs wrote that in Britain for the first time in my life I was in the place where I was treated according to my report without reference to my class. The anti-slavery movement was popular in Britain in the 1840s and 1850s, but that didn't mean that the British people were never racist. It was possible to be against slavery and still think white people were better than black. Charles Dickens, the superstar Victorian novelist whose books had a strong sense of right and wrong, visited America and thought slavery was horrible. But he also wrote about black people and racist ways. Uncle Tom's Cabin. Victorians loved American books and music, and through them they learned about the horrors of slavery in the U.S. They also learned some racist ideas about that. The best-selling book in Victorian Britain, other than the Bible, was Uncle Tom's Cabin by the white American author Harriet Churchill. Told the story of enslaved black people escaping slavery and of Uncle Tom, who was murdered by his owners of the cricket. The characters in Uncle Tom's Cabin that can seem like they're to more modern readers, but at the time, the book made its millions of readers feel the emotions of family being split apart closely. When Harriet Beecher Stowe visited Britain in front of packed audience when in 1853 she was given a petition against slavery for the women of Britain to the women of USA. African American music was usually popular in Victorian Britain. There was a craze for banjo playing, and the Prince of Wales is used to have lessons from the African American banjo stars from the Bohe Brothers. A choir of black students from Tennessee told the first Jubilee singer toured Britain in the 1870s and 1880s, singing in front of packed audience. Spiritual songs they introduced to Britain, including Nobody Knows Troubled Eyes and Wind Blow, Sweet Harriet, in much of article culture in this country. Have you heard of these songs? Anyway, what I learned was that how the people stopped slavery even more, and they didn't stop slavery forever. I learned about the writing. I never knew that the people wrote letters to stop slavery too. Yeah, and thank you for joining us on Reading with Joan. Bye!
Until I see you next time on Reading with Joan, I hope you learned a lesson from Bear Asante today. And a lesson learned is a lesson to be acted upon. Bye. See you next time.